What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Cine James Movie Talk. I am your host, Mr. Cine James himself, and today I am doing my non-spoiler review on the new movie, Masters of the Universe. I'm also going to be doing a quick discussion about the classic, the 1987, the original Masters of the Universe. But before we get into that, as always, you know what to do. If you like the show, you like the content, you're listening to me on YouTube, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're listening to me on Spotify, tap that bell, tap that follow, show me some love. And as always, I greatly appreciate all of your support. So, by the power of Grayskull, let's get into this. So, before we talk about the new Masters of the Universe, we have to go back a little bit. And being a kid of the late 80s, I caught He-Man and Masters of the Universe kind of towards the end of its prime, if you will, but I was a He-Man fan. I watched the cartoon on television and, of course, seen the movie. And I had, as many boys did my age at that time, I had the He-Man Power Sword. And for those that remember this sword, it had like a copper colored, a bronze colored hilt, and it had that plastic yellow blade on the end, and it had the sounds. And like every other boy, I was outside playing with friends on dirt mountains and on top of playhouses, holding my sword high up in the air and saying, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power." So with all that being said, let's first talk about the original 1987 Masters of the Universe. This came out on August 7th, 1987. It starred Dolph Lundgren, fresh off of Rocky IV at this time, but it starred Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, Frank Langella as Skeletor, Meg Foster as Evil-Lyn, a very young and new at the time Courtney Cox as Julie, and then, of course, James Tolkan as Detective Lubick. The movie had a budget of $22 million and ended up with a box office of $17.3 million. And this movie also was produced, it was distributed by the legendary, anybody from the 80s and early 90s knows this company, Cannon Films. If you have not, which by the way, if you have not seen the Cannon Films documentary, I believe it's called Electric Boogaloo, History of Cannon Films. It's on YouTube. You could check it out. It's really awesome to check out and watch. So this movie, when it came out, it did not do well, but since time, it has gained a following. I was, again, by the time I seen this, I had a good time with this movie when I was a kid. I watched this movie a lot of times as a kid, over and over and over again on VHS. And of course, like I said, again, I had the He-Man sword. I was a He-Man fan. So this movie, to me, you couldn't tell me anything about this movie. I enjoyed it. And to me, to this day, still, we're going to talk about the new Masters of the Universe. But for me, and it might be a lot of nostalgia talking, but for me, this one is still... I still like this one more than I did the new one. But again, that might be a lot of times, as we do with movies, that might be just maybe more nostalgia talking with that. But this movie didn't do well because this one came out, again, He-Man, its popularity, the cartoon series, the action figures, all that, was really more towards the early to mid 80s. So by the time Masters of the Universe came out, the He-Man fad had kind of started to go away. And by 1987, we were starting to get introduced. Transformers was still going pretty good at this time, but in 1987, we were starting to get introduced to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then not too much longer after this, we started to get the the animated, like the real Ghostbusters cartoon series. So He-Man at this time was kind of on the decline, which didn't help out the movie. But again, this movie hits all the nostalgia feels, and this is one of those movies that and I just want to be clear, even though I think that I think this movie's awesome, when you really look at this movie overall, it's really not that good of a movie, but it's cheesy, it's over the top, but it is one of those movies that I think is a movie that is you'll hear me talk about this a lot, and we're going to have an episode on this. Movies that are so bad they're just fun. They're bad good movies. And what I mean by that is it's a movie that it's really, honestly, when you break it down, it's a bad movie. But because of its campiness, because of its over the top, it makes it a fun movie. It makes it a bad good movie that the movie's bad, but you have a good time watching it. You're here for it. You're going to laugh. It's cheesy. A lot of the stuff in it's dumb, but you're here to have a good time with this. And a lot of it too, it also becomes a bad good movie or a bad fun movie because it hits a soft place in your heart. It taps into a nostalgia place in your life. And this is one of those movies. So the short plot of the original Masters of the Universe is we start off in Eternia, where we're introduced right away. We're introduced to He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Teela, and then we get introduced to Evil-Lyn and Skeletor. And the one thing about this movie is Frank Langella. he is absolutely fun, and he makes this movie. He is so over the top as Skeletor, but he makes this movie so much fun. He is great as Skeletor. And then, like I said again, at this place in time, 1987, we have Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, and honestly, at this place in time, there was nobody else that could have had the look of He-Man more than Dolph Lundgren in 1987. And like I said again, he was fresh off of Rocky IV at this point. So he had the look. He was He-Man. So this basically starts off in Eternia, where Skeletor has taken possession. He has taken control of Castle Grayskull, and then our heroes find their way to Gwildor, who created a cosmic key that allows them to go to other dimensions, other planets, other places, and they decide to escape Grayskull. Instead of getting captured, they decide it best to escape Eternia, and they use the cosmic key to go to Earth. And then Skeletor sends he sends his minions, which in this one we do get Beastman, Blade, Karg, Sorad. They go to Earth to try to capture and destroy He-Man and his crew, and then Skeletor ends up making his way to Earth, and they capture He-Man. They bring him back to Eternia, and then at this point, Skeletor, on the alignment, he ends up transforming himself into essentially like an Ultra Skeletor, turns himself into like a god form. And at this point is when He-Man breaks free. He grabs the Sword of Power, and this is in this movie. This is the iconic scene in this movie. When he grabs the sword, he raises it, and he says, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power." And he has the over the top. It's such a classic duel with him and Skeletor, where when they this sword and his staff, and they clang their weapons together, and the sparks fly and everything. It is just this movie again. It hits you in all the nostalgia feels, and it has a special place with a lot of individuals that are my age and older who enjoyed this movie as a kid. It just, again, Just classic movie. So if there's anyone out there watching this and you have not seen the original, the 1987 released Masters of the Universe, please, it currently is, I want to say, I believe, free to view on YouTube, but please, purchase this if it's not, please go check it out somewhere. It is worth the watch, especially again if you're really looking forward to seeing the new Masters of the Universe. Take some time and go back and watch the original. It's a great it's a fun ride. So that is the just wanted to kind of go through some of the just a quick little go back in time a little bit on He-Man with the original movie. And now we are going to get into my non-spoiler thoughts on the 2026 Masters of the Universe. So, Masters of the Universe was released on June 5th, 2026, just last week. And this one stars, if I say his name right, I believe he's a newcomer to the Hollywood scene, Nicholas Galitzine. And he is Prince Adam, He-Man. We have Jared Leto as Skeletor, Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms. We have Alison Brie as Evil Lynn, and we have Camila Mendez as Tila, and Kristen Wiig as the voice of Roboto. This movie had a budget between 170 to 200 million, and it currently has a box office of 56.5 million. So my thoughts on this, and again, I also went into this, as mentioned, thinking of the 1987, thinking of the one I grew up on, Masters of the Universe. So as I'm watching it, I am making some comparisons, and I will say this, compared between the two, this one is a more faithful adaptation to the cartoon series and the lore of He-Man. This one feels more like, this is almost one that, like, if we would have had, I guess if you want to say, the technology to pull this movie off back then, this almost feels like this is something we would have enjoyed to have back then. And having said that, as I mentioned, the box office, and again, it's only 1 week, but the box office is currently at 56.5 million. And so far, from all reports and from what has been viewed and the outlook on it, that this movie may not do well. And I think there's a lot of reason for that. And I want to touch on that before I talk about the movie. Is this movie, in my opinion, and I've heard a lot of other people say this as well, but in my opinion, this is a generational movie, okay? Because He-Man, again, He-Man was a product of the 80s. And I know that they did try to do different animated series, and they did try to do a couple different things here and there, but they just didn't pick up. It didn't carry. And this is a movie that I feel, and the reason why I don't think it's going to be as strong at the box office, because this movie, again, it's a generational movie. This movie strongly appeals to, again, the people that are my age or older, that grew up on He-Man, grew up on the original movie. And I just don't think it's going to appeal to the younger demographic. That's not saying that younger demographics not going to go see this, but I think there's just no awareness from the younger generations on who He-Man is. They may have like a little inkling of who He-Man is, but I don't think there's a general interest from the younger markets to go see this movie. And I think that that's going to play a huge factor in the box office for this movie. But I will say this. In this movie, I think that the actor who plays He-Man, Nicholas Galitzine, he looks great as He-Man. And I think he does a good Prince Adam. I also think that the star of this and the best part of this movie is Jared Leto as Skeletor. Just like the way Frank Langella portrayed Skeletor, Jared Leto makes this movie. He delivers a Skeletor that is over the top. It's campy. And that was one of my things with this movie, is that because we have had the one thing with He-Man, more so Skeletor over the years, where we've had like all the memes with Skeletor. And my hope was when they did this movie that they were going to capitalize off of that. And I even said, I said this to one of my friends. I said that I hope in this movie that he says some certain lines that we always have heard him say, and they make fun of it in memes and reels and all that stuff. And he does. And he has a good chemistry as well with Alison Brie as Evil Lynn. I like the way both of them play off each other in this. He is just fun to watch, and there are scenes in this that they're over the top, and you would think that they're not. The scenes aren't supposed to work. There are certain scenes as we get to the end of the movie, when we get towards the final battle, where you see them, you're like, this shouldn't work. This should be really bad, but they're fun, and I think a lot of it is because of what Jared Leto brings to Skeletor. Absolutely awesome, and I enjoyed. If one thing I really did enjoy in this movie was Jared Leto's portrayal as Skeletor. We also get Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms. I like his portrayal of that character. There were some things in it that I thought kind of missed, but overall, I like what he brought. And again, it's Idris Elba. For the most part, a lot of the stuff that he does is absolutely amazing. He's always a joy to watch on the screen. But I think visually, the movie looks good. There's a couple moments here and there where it does get a little dodgy with the visual effects. I think a really cool part that we got in this, we finally got Battle Cat. That was really cool how they did that with Battle Cat. And I like I do like the way they transitioned him from Earth to Eternia. I think that was a good way in the story and with the plot of the story. I did enjoy that. And I actually, for me, of course, I had a good time when they got to Eternia for the most part, but I really liked the first third of the movie where he's on Earth. I did like that. The one thing that I didn't really like with this movie is it really felt, there was a lot of this movie that felt to me like it was a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. There was so much in this where I was watching it, and as I'm watching it, I'm saying to myself, I'm like, this almost feels like this could be in Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I was waiting for, like, there was parts of me that was like, I'm waiting for the Guardians to show up. It felt like that in a lot of ways. I will say this, I like the way when we first get him to do the transformation, when he goes from Adam to He-Man, I liked the way they showcased that the first time. I thought the visuals on that was really awesome. I like that they had more. This one felt more faithful to the cartoon series. So we got a lot of those classic characters. We got Ram Man. We got, of course I said Man-at-Arms. We got Fisto, and we got a Battle Cat, and we got a lot of those classic characters, and that was really fun to see them come together, and that was really fun to see them in the battle scenes. What I will say with these characters, though, and a lot of times, is that they tried to play some jokes. They tried to have some one-liners and some lines with these characters that I didn't feel. I didn't feel that they really landed. They didn't land with me. They felt really out of place when I was watching them. Like, it just, like, they're supposed to be really funny. And I think maybe in a different style of a movie, they would have landed pretty good. But for me, and in the context of this movie, some of the jokes did, but a lot of the jokes for me didn't land in this movie with the characters. They have, and I have to say this, and this is going to be a small spoiler part, but I have to mention this because this just bothers me so much. So for those of you that know, that are watching this, and for those of you that know, and for everyone watching this that does not know, I am a huge fan. I am a very huge fan of the movie Highlander. That is one of my all-time favorite movies. It has one of the best soundtracks ever made for a movie. Just, I love Highlander. I love Highlander a lot. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they do with the remake they're getting ready to do, the new Highlander that's getting ready to come out with Henry Cavill. But I am a Highlander fan. There is one scene in this, and I'm going to spoil it, and I apologize, but it just bothers me so much. And I know it shouldn't bother me, and I know that it it's whatever, I guess. But they have a scene where they do the classic where they all come together and they get ready to go to the battle, but they have like the slow walk and they come together and do. And they use the Highlander theme, Princes of the Universe. And it's the original one by Queen. And I don't know why that just bothered me. It bothered me so bad because that does not need to be in this movie. It does not need to be in this movie. That song, Always and Forever, belongs in Highlander. I don't want to hear that song in any other movie. I don't. That belongs to Highlander. So that really bothered me. That took me out of, and it was an awesome scene. The battle sequence, the sequence was an awesome scene visually. It was really cool. But for some reason, hearing the Highlander theme in this movie took me out of it. It took me out of this scene. But of course, the interactions, the scenes that we have with He-Man and Skeletor, and especially going towards the end, I thought those were good. Not going to spoil anything, but the post-credit scene, you will want to stick around for a post-credit scene. It does, again, for fans of He-Man, it was kind of a hype moment to see that post-credit scene. However, this is my one concern. With the way that the box office is currently going, and again, the movie studios, they'll do what they want, but your box office is a really good read on what your audience really wants. And the post credit teases what could be a really awesome sequel, and I would be looking forward to it. I'd be looking really forward to a sequel to this. However, I don't know if we're going to get that. I really don't know, because again, the one downfall of this movie is that I really think that, I mean, and even says as much, if you guys seen the last trailer or some of the trailers they've been releasing in theaters, it really touches on that nostalgia where they talk about 40 years ago and all those things. So again, to me, I just think that one of the downfalls of this movie is that He-Man didn't really have the reach. For a comparison, for example, if we were to compare He-Man, other 80s things like He-Man versus like Transformers and Ninja Turtles, where He-Man seems to be that one series that is just really, really stuck in that 80s where it was formed, whereas Ninja Turtles and Transformers, they went beyond their prime peak of time in the 80s. And they went on to reach across different generations, whereas He-Man didn't. And I don't know if a sequel to this is going to be made, and I don't know I don't know how much more of the box office. I really don't know what's going to be the end result for this Masters of the Universe, again, because it really just caters to a specific market. I don't see generations that didn't come up on He-Man, the younger demographics, the younger markets. I just don't see them running, and the box office is telling us that, because if you think about it right now, Masters of the Universe is at 56, around 56 million, the box office, and it just came out, and you still have Michael, you still have Obsession, and you still have Backrooms still doing very well at the box office. And I believe, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe that they I believe that they even beat Masters of the Universe I'm at the box office. I could be wrong with that, but to that right there, I don't think that this movie's going to reach an audience to be successful to a point to carry on to a sequel. But overall, though, I will say this. Visually, this is a cool movie to go see in theaters. It is a fun movie. I do like the action. I like some of the action in it. Like I said, some of the jokes they try to do with this don't land. This movie is worth alone just going to see Jared Leto as Skeletor, because again, he makes this movie. So my final thoughts on this: it's a fun movie. It does have some pacing issues. It does have some areas where certain things don't land. Some of the visuals can be a little dodgy. But it is a fun movie to go see. You will have a fun time with it. But overall, I don't know if it's going to build enough or be successful enough to continue any further. So that is going to do it for my non-spoiler review on Masters of the Universe. As always, guys, if you like the show, you like the content, you're listening to me on YouTube, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you're listening to me on Spotify, tap that bell, tap that follow, show me some love. I greatly appreciate all of your support. Coming up, I am going to be doing, I know it's getting ready to release. It's getting ready to have a digital release here very soon, but I still am going to be doing that discussion on Mortal Kombat 2. We have the Terminator 2 Judgment Day 35th anniversary discussion episode coming up. Right around the corner, we are almost there to the release of Supergirl. So we've got some fun episodes on the way. And then also as well, we are getting ready to release our second episode on my other show, Super Cinema Brothers, where I co-host alongside the Big Rob Theory. And then we are getting ready to do, we will be releasing here coming up our episode on the Star Wars Disney sequel trilogy, the spin-off movies. And then we will be having one of our episodes that we are definitely looking forward to as the release of Supergirl comes out. We are going to be having our discussion on the DC, current state of the DC fandom. And we're also going to be having our review, our non-spoiler review thoughts on Supergirl when that comes out. So that is going to do it for this episode. Again, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate all of the support. You could find me on Facebook and Instagram at CineJames Movie Talk. Again, like and subscribe on YouTube. Tap the bell, tap the follow on Spotify. And as always, I will see you at the box office.